be walking off this thing, be like, that's it? So, where's the rest? So we'll be like, that's a way too short ride. So, this is a floorless conversion of a coaster, originally built as a B&M stand-up. So they'll be asking, it'd be like, we don't need to get on this thing again. It's kind of pointless. But technically, it's just short, so you'd be like, what happened? Or is there more to it? So why did the ride just end? Well, technically, you know, as a stand-up coaster, this was actually a good stand-up coaster, originally as Vortex, with purple track, yellow spines, and white supports. But in 2017, the ride got repainted and now is blue track with white supports and has new floorless trains to it. This is a conversion similar to Rougarou at Cedar Point and Firebird at Six Flags America. So that's in 2017 that all happened. But it's a short ride, so it's really not that good of a coaster. I mean, I'd say it's just fine, but it's just really short. So we're gonna be kicking things off and doing a review on this coaster. But before we do so, the coaster only has a total of 2 inversions and slightly just 1,920 feet of track. So that's not pretty big. That's just a decent size, but it's not that big of a coaster. So, and it's only like 91 feet tall, so it's not really that high, but it's still a fun ride. So anyway, now let's finally kick things off with this review and talk about the coaster and the ride experience. As you leave the station, you will go to a left hand turn, and this is going to proceed to your lift hill of the ride. So if you're wondering how the seats work, you will be like floorless, like Scream at Magic Mountain, Rougarou at Cedar Point, or Medusa at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. So this lift hill is not that high. It's only about 91 feet tall. So you will then be cresting up the lift for quite a while, and you get a good view of the Leva Stadium, the 49er Stadium, to your right. And you also see Flight Deck on the other side as well, on your right side. Then you will then dip down and turn around to the, I believe it's the right, and then you'll go to your first inversion, which is the vertical loop. It's not that big. Then you'll do a bank turn. Then you will do this S-burn swoop turn, and you will then go to a helix through the loop. It's really just a spiral, actually. Spiral through the loop, then you will turn a right and go to another inversion, which is the corkscrew. That is the last inversion of Patriot. Then you do a small bank turn, and then you will rise up and hit the brakes. Pretty short ride, as you can tell. That's why it's not really that, it's not people's favorite floorless. It's pretty short, and but the collar does pop. I do love the collar scheme on this, and it's comfortable. I don't see any roughness to the ride. I know some people say they're just a rattle, but you probably need to just maybe sit, don't sit, put your head back, maybe put your head forward, so you'll be fine. So, and you have the over-the-shoulder restraint as your typical floorless coaster trains, so they are really comfortable. And then the ride comes to a complete stop. So the ride is fun though. Even if it's a short ride, it's still fun. But all I can say is that if it had another feet of track or so and the ride's taller, this would be like a good floorless coaster in the park. But because it's not that tall, it's short, it's not that great. What I'm trying to say, it's just a fine ride. It is good, but it's just a fine ride. I wouldn't say it's terrible or bad or rough or anything, and I wouldn't even say the color scheme sucks, because the color scheme is absolutely good. The problem is the ride is just short. But you can really tell that this is originally built as a B&M stand-up coaster, known as Vortex. I also like that purple track. I know people also like the purple track too. with the yellow spine and stuff. But for a while, people weren't really used to these colors. But over time, they got used to it and they like it anyway, the blue color scheme. So yeah, and the name, it's just plain and simple. But this is Great America, so of course you got to get that American theme to it. But there's another Patriot at Worlds of Fun, which is another Cedar Fair park. But it's people might be a little confused. Yes, there's another name there, but that's a B&M invert in Worlds of Fun. This is the B&M Floorless Conversion at California's Great America. So they're just in two different parks, but the name is just the same namesake. But you know what? This is California's Great America. It is themed to American theme, so Patriot, it is American theme. And so I know people wanted, kind of a different name, but this is the name that they've all got because it's themed to, Great America's themed to America. So, duh. So they can't really choose a different name on this. But I mean, if they were to want to, but I think the best theme was Patriot anyway. So for Patriot's final score, I'm giving it a 5. Now the reason why it's a lower score is because it's a short ride. If it was a longer ride, maybe I'd rate it higher, but because it's short, it only gets a 5. So it is a comfortable ride, and I highly recommend it. So when you visit California's Great America, go check out Patriot. And if you've ridden this, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next time. Peace.